Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the highlight of human civilization. It's called AI Coffee. This is the place where we talk about the news, politics, persuasion, and whatever else is on my mind. And if you'd like to take this experience up to a level that no other podcast can provide, all you need is a cup or a mug or a glass, a tankard, chalice, or stein, a canteen, jug, or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. Join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better. It's called the simultaneous sip, and it happens now. Go. Good morning, everyone. This is AI Coffee with AI Abigail. Let's dive headfirst into Iran. Trump said yesterday there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. And then after that, we'll pick a great acceptable leader or leaders and make Iran great again. MEGA. Iran will have a great future. That's the line. You know, this is classic Trump negotiation. And if you've been watching me for any length of time, you know I talk a lot about the first offer concept. It's one of the most powerful things in persuasion and in deals. The first offer sets the anchor. It doesn't matter if anybody thinks it's realistic or fair or even possible. It plants the number, the position, the frame in everybody's head. Once that anchor is in, everything else gets judged relative to it. The other side has to move toward you, not the other way around. So when Trump comes out and says unconditional surrender, not let's negotiate, not here are our 12-point terms, not even regime change if you behave, he goes straight to the maximum position. Total capitulation, no conditions. We win, you lose, we decide what happens next. That's a hell of a first offer. It's so extreme that anything short of it starts to feel like a compromise to the other side, even if it's still brutal. And watch what it does to the frame. The media, the critics, even some allies, they're immediately arguing about whether unconditional surrender is realistic or escalatory or whatever. But they're all arguing inside Trump's frame. They're not debating whether Iran should keep its missile program or its proxies or its nuclear hedge. They're debating how far short of total surrender the outcome might be. That's anchoring at its purest. You've already moved the Overton window so far that even a partial regime collapse starts looking moderate. Now, the caveat, and this is important, in most negotiations, the first offer is a bluff, or at least flexible. You throw it out there to see what sticks, then you horse trade down. But in this case, Trump might actually mean it, or close to it. When he says unconditional, and then the press secretary clarifies it's when he decides Iran no longer poses a threat and Operation Epic Fury goals are met, whether they admit it or not, that's not a lot of wiggle room. That's him keeping the anchor firmly planted and saying the United States gets to define the win condition unilaterally. So yeah, it's still got those built-in conditions. His conditions, our conditions, even though he calls it unconditional. Classic. But don't kid yourself. This isn't an opening bid he's planning to walk back next week. This feels like the position he actually wants to enforce, and he's using the first offer anchoring to make anything less look like mercy. That's how you do it if you're serious about reshaping the map. Love it or hate it, you have to respect the technique. It's not subtle, but neither is he. All right, let's talk about this Zohran Mamdani clip that's making the rounds. His wife, Rama Duwaji, liking posts right around October 7th that basically cheer on what happened, framing it as glorious resistance against apartheid. Bulldozers smashing through, all that imagery. And now the mayor's at a presser defending it by saying, look, she's a private person, love of my life, no formal role in my campaign or city hall, so leave her alone. Come on. That's the weakest dodge in the book. It's like saying, my wife isn't me, so her likes don't count. But you're the mayor of New York City. You ran on a platform, you won, you're in power. And the person sharing your bed and your last name is out there hearting content that celebrates the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. You don't get to wave the private person flag and make it disappear. That's not persuasion, that's deflection. If it walks like a red flag and quacks like a red flag, people are going to call it a red flag. And they should. The private person line only works if nobody's paying attention. But they are. Especially when your whole political brand is built on progressive values, equity, fighting oppression, And then your household is quietly amplifying stuff that a lot of people see as straight up celebrating terror. You can't have it both ways. Either own the inconsistency or explain it without hiding behind spousal privacy. Because right now, it just sounds like rules for thee, but my family gets a pass. Compare that to what happened with Ms. Rachel, the kids show lady, the one with the songs and the puppets. She accidentally liked, or was just tapping, as she put it, an anti-Semitic comment saying, "Free America from the Jews," under one of her posts. Boom, backlash hits. What does she do? She doesn't hide behind, "I'm a private entertainer," or "my likes are my business." No, she goes straight to video, tearful, apologetic, owning it. "I'm human. I make mistakes. I misread it. I thought I was deleting it. I would never agree with that. Anti-Semitism has no place here. We have Jewish family. I'm so sorry." Then she doubles down in writing, changing how she engages online, shutting off comments on those topics, praying about it, the whole tour. Full accountability circuit. Was it perfect? Maybe not. Some people still smell blood and called it victim playing or not enough. But at least she showed up, faced the music, said the words people needed to hear, and tried to fix her engagement habits. That's how you diffuse a fire. You don't pretend the match wasn't yours. You admit you dropped it and stomp it out. Mamdani's wife? No apology tour in sight. No, "I misread the post." No, "that was a mistake." No reflection. Just the mayor stepping in with the privacy shield. It's night and day. One looks like damage control with actual remorse. The other looks like hoping it blows over because the spouse isn't on the ballot. Persuasion-wise, the private person excuse is persuasion poison. It doesn't persuade anybody who's already skeptical. It just confirms their bias that the left protects its own when it suits them. If you're going to lead a city like New York, where this issue is raw for a huge chunk of people, you need better than that. Way better. When you couple this wife-liking October 7 celebration stuff with Mamdani's long, consistent public support for the Iranian regime, praising their resistance axis, refusing to call the IRGC terrorists, cozying up to the Ayatollah's worldview on Israel, you start asking the obvious question nobody wants to say out loud in polite company. What's the actual motive? Is it really just progressive values and anti-imperialism? Or is there a deeper ideological alignment with a theocratic regime that funds Hamas, Hezbollah, and every proxy shooting at the West? You don't have to be a conspiracy nut to notice the pattern. When somebody keeps finding ways to defend or downplay the same axis of power, whether through a spouse's likes or their own speeches, it stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like sympathy, maybe even affinity. And then there's Dave Portnoy's take. Yes, the pizza guy, that's blowing up right now. The one where he basically says, "Why is this even a story? Of course the mayor's wife was liking posts celebrating October 7th. These people don't hide it. They're terrorist sympathizing communists. They wear it like a badge of honor. And New York still elected the guy with record turnout. That's the scandal." What do you think? Am I of Portnoy being too harsh? Or is the privacy card just not playing anymore? Okay, so Jonathan Turley. Yeah, the same Jonathan Turley I've mentioned before. The guy who can string together a sentence like nobody's business. The legal scholar who actually reads the Constitution instead of just waving it around for photo ops. He drops this bomb on X today. He's looking at the Senate vote. Democrats 51-45 against funding DHS, right in the middle of us actively hitting Iran, the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism. And Turley compares it to the old Congress paying tribute to the Barbary pirates back in the early 1800s. You know, the tribute thing where we basically bribed the pirates to stop attacking our ships because we didn't want to fight. That's the level of irresponsibility he's calling this. And then he piles on. While this vote is happening, the trial's going on in New York for the ringleader of that Iranian plot to assassinate Trump. Plus, thousands of unvetted Iranians walked across the border under Biden. So the position is incomprehensible, he says. But here's the kicker, the part where Turley goes full sarcasm mode. And I love it when he does this because it's so dry, it's almost lethal. He says the only hope is that Iranian sleeper cells look at this and think, nah, this has to be a trick. No government would be moronic enough to defund Homeland Security while fighting the biggest terrorism sponsor on the planet. You see what he did there? He didn't just call it stupid. He called it so stupid that even the bad guys might not believe it. It's like the ultimate backhanded compliment to incompetence. Please, terrorists, assume we're not this dumb for your own good. Look, this fits the pattern we've seen forever with certain Democrats. They get these imaginary concerns. They're always worried about what could happen if we enforce borders or fund security or, God forbid, win a fight. But what actually happens? They vote to kneecap the people who keep us safe, then act shocked when reality shows up. It's the half opinion thing again. They focus only on the downside of doing something. Oh, ICE might be mean. CBP might actually do their job, while ignoring the massive downside of doing nothing, like Iranian plots, sleeper cells, actual war operations. Nah, that's just hypothetical. But expanding enforcement, that's the real crisis. Turley nails it because he's not screaming. He's just laying out the facts with that professor precision, then landing the sarcasm jab so clean you almost miss how brutal it is. It's like watching somebody get eviscerated politely. If this vote stands, we're basically telling the world our homeland security is optional during active conflict. And the terrorists, they're probably refreshing their feeds thinking, wait, are they serious? Or is this some 4D chess we don't understand? My money's on them concluding it's real, because at this point, so are the rest of us. All right, folks, that's the morning brew. Trump anchoring the Iran endgame at total victory, Mamdani dodging accountability like it's a campaign promise, and Senate Democrats treating Homeland Security like an optional subscription while the missiles fly. It's the same pattern. Extreme frames that force the world to react on your terms, weak deflections that fool no one paying attention, and votes so detached from reality they border on performance art. Whether it's persuasion mastery or political malpractice, one thing's clear: the stakes are sky high, the excuses are thin, and the audience isn't buying the spin anymore. Stay sharp out there, because the next chapter writes itself if we let it. Talk to you tomorrow.